Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Let us chant one round of Japa with Srila Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminniti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome back to our Srimad Bhagavatam session. We are reciting Bhagavad Gita Shloka. One second. Bhagavad Gita Shloka, chapter. So we finished chapter 14, text 27, right? So we have to start chapter 15. Chapter 15. 15:1. Okay. Please repeat. Sri Bhagavanuvacha Urdhvamulam Adha Shakham Ashwatham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavid. Sri Bhagavanuvacha Urdhvamulam Adha Shakham Ashwatham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavid. Sri Bhagavanuvacha Urdhvamulam Adha Shakham Ashwatham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavid. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas." Okay, so Isha.
श्रीभगवानुवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलम् अधः शाखम् अश्वत्थम् प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित्. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas."
Madhava. Krishna Shish.
Supreme Personality of God is said. It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas.
Madhava.
श्रीभगवानुवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलमधः शाखम् अश्वत्थम् प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित्. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas.
Rasapriya.
श्रीभगवानुवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलमधः शाखम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित्. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas."
Okay, let's read Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam. So today onwards we'll do this system. We will just read and discuss and complete whatever we are supposed to complete by 8 o'clock, your 8 o'clock, and after that we will discuss if there are any questions. Okay, so let's read Srimad Bhagavatam. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1, The Advent of Lord Krishna, Introduction, Text 67. Quickly, let's see where we are in our reading. So, Vasudev brought his firstborn son to Kamsa, and Kamsa said you may take back your child, and I have no fear of your first child. It is the 8th child of you and Devaki that I'm concerned of, because it is that child that's destined to kill me. So Vasudev took the child back, but at the same time, knowing that Kamsa is of Rakshasa Pravritti, hmm, that means you cannot trust them. At any time, he can go back on his word. That means now he's sending the baby back, but any time he can once again capture the baby and kill the baby. So Vasudev took the baby back, but he was aware of Kamsa's nature. Then we read, or Srila Sukadev Goswami is explaining about how all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, that means Nanda Maharaj, his family members, and also Vasudev, Devaki, and their family members, they are actually the demigods or expansions of the demigods from the heavenly planets who have taken birth in these Vrishni and Vrishni dynasty, Yadu dynasty, Vrishni dynasty. Okay, so just kind of a reminder for us that they are actually, all of them are the inhabitants of Vraja and Mathura. They are actually demigods. Who are demigods? Demigods are the devotees of Lord Vishnu. So just a reminder there. And then after Kamsa sent Vasudev back with the baby, one day Narad Muni arrived and informed Kamsa how all the demonic persons who are now a great burden on earth, they were going to be killed by Lord Vishnu. The Lord is going to appear, and all the demigods have already taken birth in these families, Yadu and Vrishni dynasties. That means, so since the demigods have already arrived, very soon Lord Vishnu is going to come. And Lord Vishnu is going to kill all the demonic personalities on this earth. Who is Kamsa? He's a demonic person, right? So he is fearing for his life. Besides, there was already Akashvani that said that Kamsa is going to be killed by the 8th child of Vasudeva and Devaki. So Kamsa is now worried. One more thing that Narad Muni said was, the Akashvani said 8th child is going to kill you, but you don't know which one is the 8th child, right? So these demigods can be very tricky. Don't trust them. I think you should just arrest Vasudeva and Devaki, right? Well, I don't know if Narad Muni said that you should arrest, but Narad Muni said, anyone can be. Any of these 8 children can be the 8th child. It's not that only the 8th child is the 8th child, right? So actually, it's not that what Narad Muni said was that all the Lord is going to appear and all the demonic persons are going to be killed by the Lord, and also that all the demigods have already taken birth in the family of Yadu and Vrishni dynasties. So after and saying this, when Narad Muni departed, that means you have to be on guard. Don't be relaxed, just be on guard. Then Kamsa started thinking that um, all the members, Yadu dynasty, they are demigods. So he's thinking, any child born of Devaki can be Lord Vishnu. Why only the 8th one? It can be anyone. So fearing his death, what did Kamsa do? He arrested Vasudeva and Devaki. Not just arrested, he chained them in iron chains and shackles. And he actually killed. So now Vasudeva and Devaki had one child, so he killed that child. But each year after that, as Vasudeva and Devaki were giving birth to one child, he would take that child and kill that child mercilessly. Why? Because of the prophecy that said that Lord Vishnu would kill, specifically Devaki's 8th child would kill Kamsa. So now we'll start the next verse, text 67. So Madhava's turn. Mataram pitaram bhratrin sarvamscha suhridastatha gnanti hyasutripo lubdha rajanah prayasho bhuvi.
Kings greedy for sense gratification on this earth almost always kill their enemies indiscriminately. To satisfy their own whims, they may kill anyone, even their mothers, fathers, brothers, or friends.
Who's saying this? Kings greedy for sense gratification on this earth almost always kill their enemies indiscriminately. It does not matter who they consider their enemy. Anyone who's an obstacle to their sense gratification. When one is greedy for sense gratification, he sees anyone and everyone who is an obstacle to his sense gratification as his enemy. And what does he do when he sees someone as his enemy? He kills them indiscriminately. So it is proportionate to the amount of greed he has for sense gratification, right? So he can go to any extent. He can even kill his enemies indiscriminately uh, out of greed for sense gratification. To satisfy their own whims, they may kill anyone, even their mothers, fathers, brothers, or friends. So this must be Sukadeva Goswami speaking, not Kamsa thinking. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Rasapriya.
We have seen in the history of India that Aurangzeb killed his brother and nephews and imprisoned his father to fulfill political ambitions. There have been many similar instances, and Kamsa was the same type of king. Kamsa did not hesitate to kill his nephews and imprison his sister and his father. For demons to do such things, it is not astonishing. Nonetheless, although Kamsa was a demon, he was aware that Lord Vishnu cannot be killed, and thus he attained salvation. Even partial understanding of the activities of Lord Vishnu makes one eligible for salvation. Kamsa knew a little about Krishna, that he could not be killed, and therefore he attained salvation, although he thought of Krishna as an enemy. What then is to be said of one who knows Krishna perfectly from the descriptions of Shastras like Bhagavad Gita? It is therefore the duty of everyone to read Bhagavad Gita and understand Krishna perfectly. This will make one's life successful.
Yes. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, we have seen in the history of India that Aurangzeb killed his brother and nephews. This is the standard example we always hear of someone. Of course, there are many examples, but Aurangzeb, he arrested all his brothers, even his father. He imprisoned them, tortured them. Why? Because he himself wanted to be the king. Of course, here we see Kamsa, he did the same thing long before Aurangzeb. But this is the nature of people who are greedy for power. Power means sense gratification, basically. Those who are greedy for sense gratification, this is the nature of such demonic persons. So one example is Aurangzeb, who killed his brother and nephews, brother's children, and imprisoned his father to fulfill political ambitions. And there are many such examples. Kamsa was of the same type. Kamsa did not hesitate to kill his nephews. Yes, his sister's sons, right? Beginning with Kirtiman. Kamsa did not hesitate to kill his nephews and imprison his sister and his father, Ugrasen, and of course, sister, brother-in-law also. He imprisoned his sister and his father. For demons to do such things is not astonishing. Nonetheless, although Kamsa was a demon, he was aware that Lord Vishnu cannot be killed. We read this in the previous purport also, that this is ironical. On one hand, he knows that Vishnu cannot be killed. He is the Supreme Lord. But on the other hand, he is attempting to kill Vishnu. This is also a demon's mentality. So he was aware that Lord Vishnu cannot be killed, thus he obtained salvation. So anyone who understands this, that the Lord cannot be killed, right, he will attain salvation. So about Kamsa, Srila Prabhupada is saying that although Kamsa was a demon, he was aware that Lord Vishnu cannot be killed, and thus he attained salvation. Even partial understanding of the activities of Lord Vishnu makes one eligible for salvation. Right? Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti. Vetti means one who knows. Tattvataha. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti. For him, after giving up this body, there is no punarjanma. Mameti sorjana. He will come to me. Who? One who understands Janma and Karma, the birth and activities of the Supreme Lord are Divyam. That means even if one understands the Supreme Lord partially, still he will get salvation. Salvation. For the salvation for which the impersonalists are struggling so hard. Panthastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo. How hard they try controlling their breath, restraining their breath, simply to get salvation, right? To transcend the three modes. That salvation, even a demon can get if he gets a partial understanding of Bhagavan. So, Kamsa attained salvation although he thought of Vishnu Krishna as an enemy. What then is to be said of one who knows Krishna perfectly from the descriptions of the Shastras like Bhagavad Gita? So Kamsa wanted to kill Krishna thinking that he is his nephew, right? And he thought his nephew was his enemy. Okay, once again I'll read that line. Kamsa knew a little about Krishna that he could not be killed. How he knew a little? Because he was sending so many demons one after another. Of course, we didn't read that yet, it's going to come. He was sending so many demons and he was being baffled every time. And that is why he is experiencing fear. Of course, even before Kamsa's, even Krishna's birth, when Krishna was still in the womb of Devaki, Kamsa was very fearful. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't eat peacefully. He couldn't do anything. Constantly, he was engulfed by fear of death. And that death was Krishna to him. So, he knew that he could not kill the Lord, Vishnu or Krishna. So, therefore, he attained salvation, Srila Prabhupada is saying. He attained salvation, although he thought of Vishnu, Krishna as an enemy. What then is to be said of one who knows Krishna perfectly from the descriptions? Of course, it doesn't say about thinking him as his nephew. He was seeing Krishna as his enemy. Okay, even though thinking of Krishna as his enemy, he was aware that he could not kill Krishna because he is the Supreme Lord. It's a different thing that he's seeing the Supreme Lord as his enemy. But he was aware that he cannot kill the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he got salvation. So, if somebody who's thinking of Krishna as his enemy is getting salvation, what to speak of someone who sees him as the most loving Supreme Personality of Godhead from the descriptions of Shastras like Bhagavad Gita? What will happen to him? Will he not get liberation? Certainly. It is therefore the duty of everyone to read Bhagavad Gita and understand Krishna perfectly. This will make one's life successful. Next verse. Atmanam iha sanjatam janan prag vishnuna hatam mahasuram kalanemim yadubihi savyarudhyata. Isha.
In his previous birth, Kamsa had been a great demon named Kalanemi and had been killed by Vishnu. Upon learning this information from Narada, Kamsa became envious of everyone connected with the Yadu dynasty.
Yes. So Narad Muni, not only did he say that Kamsa was that the demigods had already appeared in the Yadu dynasty and Vrishni dynasty, he also told him about Kamsa's past. Kamsa, in your previous life, you were Kalanemi and you were killed by Lord Vishnu. Now, once again, that same Lord Vishnu is going to appear as the 8th child of Devaki, and you are that same Kalanemi. He will come back and kill you again. So, when Kamsa heard this, he became very fearful. Once he was killed, that means he was defeated and he was killed. So, once again, he'll be killed. So, in his previous birth, Kamsa had been a great demon named Kalanemi and been killed by Vishnu. Upon learning this information from Narada, Kamsa became envious. Envious means he's seeing the Lord as his enemy. Not just the Lord, but everyone connected with the Yadu dynasty. Because they're all demigods. Demigods are devotees of the Lord, supporters of the Lord. So he saw everyone connected with the Yadu dynasty as his enemy. He became envious of all of them. Purport. Yeah, Isha, go ahead.
Persons who are demons, enemies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are called asuras. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the asuras, because of their enmity towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, take birth after birth in asura families, and therefore glide down to the darkest hellish region.
This is said in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that persons who are demons, what do they do? First of all, who is asura? Vishnu Bhakta Bhavet Daiva Asurastad Viparyaya. One who is a devotee of Lord Vishnu is called Daiva, demigod. Anyone who's opposite of that, that means who's not a devotee, who is a non-devotee of Lord Vishnu, is called Asura. And what is the quality of Asura? They are envious of the Supreme Lord. They see the Supreme Lord as their enemy. And as a result, now who will deliver a person, whether you are an impersonalist or a yogi or karmi, who is the one who's giving you the results of your different sadhanas? It is the Supreme Lord only. It is the Lord only through his expansions and his energies, who's fulfilling all our desires, who's giving us all the results. So if somebody becomes envious of that Supreme Personality of Godhead, what is his destination? Is he going to get any good destination if he becomes envious of the Supreme Lord? No. So, because these asuras, because of their enmity toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what is the punishment? Is being ungrateful, right? Atheists, asuras, they're ingrates. Even the air that we breathe, even the water that we drink, is the mercy of the Supreme Lord on us. We cannot even blink our eyes without the help of Paramatma. And taking everything from the Lord, still we act uh, in an ungrateful way, right? And we call him our enemy, or we say he doesn't exist, or we make him impersonal. These are all signs of envy of the Supreme Lord. So, because of their enmity toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they take birth. So, their punishment is they take birth, birth after birth, in Asura families. So, what happens in Asura families? Because they are enemies, they go through many types of sufferings. For example, uh, one that is mentioned in the 16th chapter is, they don't even get to see the light of the sun when when the mother becomes pregnant. They kill the abortions, kill the baby within the womb. That means that living entity doesn't even get to come out and see the light of the sun. It's killed within the womb, and then according to its karma, again it's put in the womb of another asura mother. Again she'll also do abortion. So that child, after spending so much time in that tightly packed womb of the mother, being bitten by worms, not being able to move, packed up like that for months together, is killed, and then it goes into another womb and another womb and another womb. In this way, that living entity as a punishment doesn't even get to see the light of the sun, birth after birth. That's just one punishment. It's hellish. So, like this, those who are asuras, birth after birth, they take birth in the wombs of asura mothers. They take birth in asura families. What are asura families? Asura family means those who are envious of the Supreme Lord. And therefore they glide down to the darkest hellish regions. And then when you're in asura family, you'll commit sinful activities, right? Killing cows, killing animals, performing illicit activities, taking intoxication, gambling, so on and so forth, killing. So because of these sinful activities, when you're born in that family, you think it's normal, it's natural to do these things, and you commit such abominable activities, and the result will be you will just go to hell for committing such sinful activities. So next, Krishna Shish is not here. Madhava, text 69. उग्रसेनं च पितरं यदुभोजान्धकाधिपं स्वयं निगृह्य बुभुजे शूरसेनान् महाबलः.
Kamsa, the most powerful son of Ugrasena, even imprisoned his own father, the king of the Yadu, Vaja, and Andhaka dynasties, and personally ruled the states known as Surasena.
Kamsa, the most powerful son of Ugrasena, even imprisoned his own father, the king of the Yadu, Bhoja, and Andhaka dynasties. Who is his father? Ugrasena. Ugrasena was the king of Yadu, Bhoja, and Andhaka dynasties. So, by imprisoning his father, he personally ruled the states known as Shurasena. I'm sorry, he was ruling. Ugrasena was personally ruling. So, remember, since the time of Shurasena, who's Shurasena? Shurasena is the father of Vasudeva. So, since the time of Shurasena, Shurasena was the capital of the kingdom of Shurasena. So, Ugrasen Maharaj was the king of Yadu, Bhoja, and Andhaka dynasties, and he personally ruled the states known as Shurasena. So, as we read in the previous verse, demonic persons, those who are greedy for sense gratification, they don't even consider if somebody is their family member or anyone who's an obstacle to his sense gratification, he sees as his enemy, and he will kill them indiscriminately. So just like we know about Aurangzeb, who came much later, here we see Kamsa imprisoned his father and took the kingdom himself. Purport, Rasapriya.
The state known as Mathura was included within the states known as Surasena. Regarding transmigration of the soul, Sri Nusvacharya gives the following notes. When one is awake, whatever one sees or hears is impressed upon the mind, which later works in dreams to show one different experiences. Although in dreams, one appears to accept a different body. For example, when one is awake, one does business and talks with customers. And similarly in dreams, one meets various customers, talks about business, and gives quotations, Madhvacharya says. Therefore,
Quotations, period.
Quotations.
Madhvacharya says
Madhvacharya says, therefore, that dreams take place according to what one sees, hears, and remembers. When one reawakens, of course, one forgets the body of the dream. Forgetfulness is called
Apasmriti.
apasmriti. Thus, we are changing bodies because we are sometimes dreaming, sometimes awake, and sometimes forgetful. Forgetfulness of our previously created body is called death, and our work in our present body is called life. After death, one cannot remember the activities of one's previous body, whether imaginary or factual.
Okay. So this is additional notes for this chapter. So remember Vasudev's instructions to Kamsa, right? What was Vasudev saying to Kamsa? That mm, first of all, of course, he said, you are a great person, the crown jewel, crest jewel of your dynasty. This is an abominable act, killing a woman, which is condemned in the Shastra. That too, who's your younger sister. That too, on her wedding day. This will spoil your reputation. Then when this didn't work, the next thing that Vasudev said was that uh, you are you are prepared to commit such an abominable activity simply for this body, right, to protect this body. So there elaborately Vasudev explains the position of the soul. So that is only being explained once again here. So this is Srila Madhvacharya's commentary. Primarily, Srila Prabhupada takes from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary and Srila Jiva Goswami's commentary, and also from other acharyas from time to time, like Srila Veera Raghavacharya, like that, Sridhar Swami. So here we are seeing Srila Madhvacharya's commentary on this chapter. So regarding transmigration of the soul, Srila Madhvacharya gives the following notes. Remember there we saw about how the mind, whatever impressions you have on the mind, that is what is going to decide your next body. Yes? So if you have material impressions, then your next body will be material body. If you have spiritual impressions, the next body will be spiritual. Therefore, in this body, we must perform spiritual activities, not just spiritual, devotional activities. Devotional activities, rendering devotional service, hearing Bhagavad Gita, reading, chanting, remembering pastimes of the Lord, like this. So when we perform, when our mind has impressions of devotional activities, then at the time of death, those impressions will be there on the mind, and that will decide our next body. Then we will get a body which is suitable for devotional service. So when one is this is Srila Madhvacharya's explanation. When one is awake, whatever one sees or hears is impressed upon the mind. Yes, right, during the day, right, when you're awake, whatever you're seeing, hearing, experiencing, that is impressed upon the mind, which later works in dreams to show one different experiences. So that you will see in your dreams. Whatever impressions you have on your mind when you're awake, those impressions will be seen in the form of dreams when you're sleeping. Although in dreams one appears to accept a different body. So it's not exactly the same. Sometimes it can be exactly the same, but also sometimes, two different things that you have experienced. Like Srila Prabhupada gives an example of, you have experienced, you have seen gold, right? You see gold jewelry, and then you also see mountains, right? So then in your dream, both these impressions are clubbed together and you see a golden mountain. So that's also possible, like that. So you fly in airplanes, you have that experience, and then you see birds flying in the sky. So you club the two and you imagine or you dream that you are actually flying like a bird in the sky. like that. So your impressions formed when you're awake will be experienced in the dream. Although in dreams one appears to accept a different body. For example, when one is awake, one does business and talks with customers. Srila Prabhupada also quotes his father, right? He was a businessman, he was a cloth merchant. So during the day, he's quoting prices of various types of cloth. So at night, he would be quoting in his dream, he would be quoting like this cloth is this much and this like that in his dreams. So whatever you do during the day, not necessarily that what you did today, the same thing is coming, but everything that you do, impressions are formed on your mind. That we should be aware. We should be conscious of that. So therefore, we have a choice. What we do or what we should not do, or what we do or we don't do, we have that choice. That we have freedom, that free will we have. So when you do something, that creates an impression. So that is why, whether you feel like it or not, Shraddha means, faith means, you know that this is what is to be done, is supposed to be done. Whether you feel like doing it or not, that is really not so important. Regardless of what you feel like, you should do what is good, what you are supposed to do. Right? Sometimes you may be very enthusiastic about chanting, right? And at other times you may feel completely tired, and that may be the last thing you want to do. But regardless of that, you must do what is the right thing to do. Why? Because everything that you do creates an impression on your mind. Everything that you do creates an impression, right? But if you follow your mind says, oh, I like to go and eat in the restaurants, I like that pizza of that particular store, let me go and eat there. That means you're following your mind. And when you go and do that, that is creating an impression. And that impression, and one more thing, we read from Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that every time you do an activity, karma, that impression is there, and it's going to give you reaction for that. But more dangerous than the reaction that you get for that karma, more dangerous than that is, it leaves an impression, a trail, a desire to do it again. It leaves a desire to repeat it again. And the second time you do it, it becomes a stronger desire. So this is how addictions form. You do once, and then the second time, the desire to do it becomes even stronger. And then the third time, it gets even stronger. And then each time you just agree to your mind, right? You become subservient to your mind and you say, okay, okay. Soon, before you know it, you have become a slave of that habit, whatever it may be, whether it is watching, eating, drinking, or other gross type of sense gratificatory activities. So every activity that we do creates an impression on the mind, and it is these impressions that decide our next body. That's the point. So we have to consciously choose to do those activities which will create devotional impressions on the mind, so that in our next life, so that our next life will be a spiritual body. We get a spiritual body where we can render devotional service. So again, here example, when one is awake, one does business and talks with customers, and similarly in dreams one meets various customers, talks about business and gives quotations. So whatever he's doing during the day, that is reflected in the dreams at night. Madhvacharya says, therefore, that dreams take place according to what one sees, hears, and remembers. Your activities during the day. Activities means what? That which you're doing with your senses, right? senses. Hands, legs are also senses, but more importantly, your knowledge acquiring senses, your eyes, your ears, your tongue, your skin, whatever you are perceiving. So dreams take place according to what you see, what you hear, what you see, what you hear. Hearing is very, very powerful, right? What type of sounds you're hearing. Nowadays, everyone likes to put, earphones, and they listen to all types of music and all types of, ads, songs, news, movies, politics, yeah, news. So all these things are actually creating impressions on the mind, and that comes as dreams also. Who's saying this? Srila Madhvacharya is saying dreams take place according to what one sees, hears, and remembers. And naturally, what you see and hear, you will remember. And when you remember, you'll speak to others also. This is this. And that every time you're repeating, that impression is becoming more and more strongly impressed upon your consciousness. When one reawakens, of course, one forgets the body of the dream. So, again, going back to the dream, whatever you see during your waking state is seen in the dream. And after the dream, when you wake up, you forget the dream. This forgetfulness is called apasmriti. Apasmriti. That means you forget what you saw in the dream. So that forgetting your dream is called apasmriti. Thus, we are changing bodies because we are sometimes dreaming, sometimes awake, sometimes forgetful. So there are 3 states we saw here. I think something's burning on the stove. So sometimes you are awake and you're seeing and hearing things, remembering things. Then you dream, and in your dream, those impressions are coming back to you, and you wake up, again you forget those dreams. So waking state, dreaming state, and forgetful state. These 3 things are going on. Forgetfulness of our previously created body is called death. So what is death? Now in this life, we are um, going through these 3 phases every day. Yes, we are awake, we see so many things, hear so many things, remember so many things, and we sleep. And when we sleep, we dream of those things, like Srila Prabhupada quoted, you're dreaming quoting prices, if you're a businessman, like that. And then when you wake up, again you forget the dream. And again, when you wake up the next day, you are again hearing, seeing things. And when you sleep, again those things are coming as dreams. And you wake up the next day, again you forget. So like this, our life is going on. Waking state, dreaming state, forgetful state. What is death? Death means you forget all this whole life. Just like you forget your dream when you wake up, similarly, you forget this whole whatever. So just see this whole life as a dream. So many activities are happening throughout this life. Look at this life as a dream. So when you wake up from this dream, you forget everything that happened in the dream. So death is like that. Forgetting whatever happened in this life is called death. Of course, that doesn't mean that now you're liberated because you're awakened. Just you're awakened to a new dream. When you get a new body, now you're awakened to another dream. Okay. Thus we are changing bodies because we are sometimes dreaming, sometimes awake, sometimes forgetful. Forgetfulness of our previously created body is called death, and our work in the present body is called life. After death, one cannot remember the activities of one's previous body, whether imaginary or factual. Okay, next paragraph. Who read just now? Rasapriya, right? So, one second. Neelambari Radha Mataji. You're able to read.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Mataji, I'll read from the against mind.
The agitated mind, yes.
Sorry, yes. The agitated mind is compared to agitated water reflecting the sun. Agitated water compared to agitated water reflecting the sun and the moon. Actually, the sun and moon reflect on the water do not exist there. Nonetheless, they are reflected according to the movements of the water. Similarly, when our minds are agitated, we wander in different material atmosphere and and receive different types of bodies. This is described in Bhagavad Gita as guna shanga karma karna
Guna Sangha, period.
Gunasanga okay, Gunasanga. Karanam Gunasango Shya Madhacharya says Guna Nubandha Baddha Gunanubadha sound. Uh, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev uh, Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 19:151. Uh, the living entity rotates rotates up and down throughout the universe, sometimes in the upper planetary system, sometimes in the middle and lower planetary system, sometimes as a man, sometimes a god, a dog, a tree, and so on. This is all due to the agitation of the mind. The mind must therefore be steadily fixed, as it is said, Savai Mana Krishna Padaro Vindayo. One should fix one's mind at the lotus feet of Krishna, and then one will become free from agitation. This is the instruction of the Garuda Purana, and in the Naradya Purana, and in the Naradya Purana, the same process is described as stated in Bhagavad Gita. Yanti Deva Vrata Deva. The agitated mind goes to different planetary systems because it is attached to different kinds of demigods, but one does not go to the abode of the supreme personality of God by worshipping the demigods, for this is not supported by any Vedic literature. Man is the architect of his own fortune. In this human life, one has thus facility with which to understand one's real situation, and one can decide whether to wander around the universe forever or return home back to Godhead. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Aparya
Aprap-
mam
Aprapyama.
sorry. Sorry. Aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartamani.
Yes, Mother. Thank you.
Thank you. Mother.
So this is another verse that we read, if you remember, about how the uh, the planets in the sky, the sun and moon, they reflect on water, and because of wind, the water is moving, and because of the movement of water, the reflection of moon or sun on water appears to be either fat or elongated, stretched out, or like that, different shapes. Originally, the moon or sun is not stretched like that, but the reflection on moving water appears in different shapes. So the original planet in the sky is like the spirit soul, but the various forms that we are seeing of that moon on moving water, those various forms are like the different forms, different bodies that the soul is assuming. Why the soul is accepting these different forms? Because of the impressions on the mind. So this is like the wind which is causing movement of water, right? So the different various impressions that are formed on the mind, because of that. And now why the various impressions are formed? Because of association with the modes. Okay, so that's what is being explained here. Srilam, yes, Madhvacharya's explanation. So the agitated mind is compared to agitated water, reflecting the sun and the moon.
So
Agitated.
Mataji, how can we compare to the wind and the living entity?
Okay, the wind is causing the movement of water. So the living entity is the planet in the sky. Let's say the moon, the original moon in the sky. That is the living entity, the soul, spirit soul. The spirit soul is not fat. The spirit soul is not thin or tall or short. But the reflection of that moon in moving water is looking fat or thin or, so on and so forth. So the spirit soul is compared to the original heavenly body. The reflection of that heavenly body on water is appearing in different forms, as a cat, as a dog, as an Indian, American, or demigod, like that, different material bodies. These material bodies are not the attributes of the spirit soul. These are the attributes of the material body, not the soul. So then how you got these different bodies? Because of the impressions on the mind. So the impressions of the mind is that moving water. Okay, so the moving water is causing the reflection to appear in different shapes. So the impressions on the mind are causing the living entity to see himself as either a fat person or a thin person or a rich person or a poor person or a demigod or this or that. So then the next question is, why there is movement of water? The wind is causing the movement of water. So then uh, why the mind has all these impressions? Because of the association of the living entity with the modes. When he is associating with the mode of goodness, there are impressions that are formed in goodness, right? So then you get the body of a demigod, because as a result of those impressions, now you get bodies which are in the mode of goodness. When you associate with ignorance, just like we were reading previously about Kamsa, being in the mode of ignorance, asura pravritti, right? Then you commit sinful activities. So when you are associating with the mode of ignorance, the result will be you'll get bodies in the mode of ignorance. You'll get bodies of rakshasas, like that. So now you said the living entity is the heavenly body. The movement of water is the impressions on the mind, or whatever is there on the mind. The mind with its impressions. Then the association of the modes, you can say, is the wind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
So actually the sun and moon reflected on the water do not exist. But the reality is, what you're seeing on the water, is the sun actually there? It's not there. It's just a reflection. The sun is not even there, right? It's just a reflection. Nonetheless, they are reflected according to the movements of the water. Similarly, when our minds are agitated, we wander in different material atmospheres and receive different types of bodies. This is described in Bhagavad Gita as Guna Sangha. Guna Sangha means association with the gunas, with the modes. Karanam Guna Sangosya. Why you are getting different bodies? What is the karana? What is the cause for my getting different bodies? My association with the gunas. Madhvacharya says, Gunanubaddaha san. Right? Guna, Gunanubaddaha. Baddha means you're bound. Bound by what? By the gunas. Gunas are also compared to to ropes. You tie. You're tied with ropes. So you're tied with gunas. As a result of that, you get different bodies. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Brahmanda Brahmite kono bhagyavan jeev, Guru Krishna kripai pai bhakti lata bij. So Brahmanda Brahmite, that means we are traveling throughout this Brahmanda universe. sometimes in a higher planet, lower planet, this body, that body, right? So many, 8,400,000 species throughout the universe. The living entity is traversing. Who's saying this? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The living entity rotates up and down throughout the universe, sometimes in upper planetary systems, sometimes in middle and lower planetary systems, sometimes as a man, sometimes a god, a dog, a tree, and so on. This is all due to the agitation of the mind. Agitation of the mind means that water, moving water, but that is due to the wind or the association with the modes. The mind must therefore be steadily fixed, right? The mind must be fixed. As it is said, Savai Manaha Krishna Padaravindayo. So how? The mind is now associating with different modes, and as a result of associating with different modes, you're getting different bodies. Now, instead of letting the mind associate with goodness, passion, and ignorance, if you fix the mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, then what happens? You transcend the modes immediately. If you fix your mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. One should fix one's mind at the lotus feet of Krishna, and then one will become free from agitation. Also, that means if you fix your mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, no more different bodies. Right? After this body, tyaktva deham punarjanmanaiti. Right? No more body, material bodies. This is the instruction of Garuda Purana, and in the Naradiya Purana, the same process is described as stated in Bhagavad. What is described there? That one should fix his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. Otherwise, the mind cannot be, like not anywhere. That's not possible. It has to be somewhere. So if you don't fix your mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, the mind will be associating with goodness, passion, and ignorance, and accordingly you'll be getting different bodies. So if you don't want all this, just fix your mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. This is the instruction of Garud Puran and also Naradiya Puran. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, right? Those who worship devas, they will go to the devas. Pitrin yanti pitrivrataha. Those who worship forefathers go to forefathers. And then Krishna says, yanti mad yajinopi mam. So one who worships me, he comes to me. So if you fix your mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, you will go to Krishna, right? But one point that Srila Prabhupada says is not that you'll worship demigods and you'll go to Krishna. That's not going to happen. The agitated mind goes to different planetary systems because it is attached. The other day also we were discussing, right, that uh, ultimately it's about where your mind is fixed. Now we are practicing sadhana bhaktas, right? We are practicing, but is our mind really fixed on Krishna? That we should see. Where is the mind fixed? Is it fixed on earning more money? Is it fixed on my family members, my community, or it is fixed in, whatever, right? My pets or my intoxication. Where is the mind fixed? That's important. Or is it fixed in Krishna or in Bhagavad Gita or in preaching? Anything related to Krishna, never mind. Deity worship. Where is your mind fixed? Wherever your mind is fixed, that's your next destination. Yanti deva vrata devan pitrin yanti pitrivrataha. Bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyajinopi mam. Those who worship me. So when you worship someone, of course, it's not like one day we worship, but when you are really sincerely worshipping, then day after day, month, that when you do deity worship, that's why deity worship is very powerful. It is essential, especially for neophytes, to fix your mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, because now the mind is going so many places. To fix it on the lotus feet of Krishna. And what is the conditions for deity worship? Punctuality and cleanliness. Why? Because such strict rules are there in deity worship, punctuality and cleanliness. It will break the laziness in the mind, right? You have to be there on time, you have to keep it clean, and by doing this you come out of kadariyata means feeling lazy and falling back from that. So when you do like this on time, in a clean way, every day, according in a clean way means according to rules and regulations. You have to follow rules and regulations. By doing that day after day, what is happening? Your mind is getting fixed. Your mind is getting fixed. So deity worship is a powerful means to fix your mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. And of course, deity worship is not the method recommended for Kali Yuga because we cannot do it properly. Still, whatever simplified way has been given to us by our Acharya, we must follow that. And the most powerful way in Kali Yuga especially is Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Namaiva Kevalam, Kalau Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatiranyata. Just always chant and hear the glories of Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, his holy names, chant Hare Krishna, hear his names always. This will create impressions on the mind. Then, when you have such impressions, if the mind is fixed, then your next destination will be a body where you can be with Krishna, rendering service to Krishna. Never mind some universe in this material world or in the spiritual world. If you're rendering devotional service, if you're with Krishna, that is spiritual world, isn't it? So the agitated mind goes to different planetary systems because it is attached to different kinds of demigods. So what I was saying was, the other day somebody said, or I think, yeah, that if your mind, after you give up this body, when you're going to the spiritual world, you may become attracted to a heavenly planet. You may stop there. Why you will get attracted to heavenly planets? Because your mind is there, right? If your mind is already fixed on the lotus feet of Krishna, can there be anything sweeter than Krishna's lotus feet? Is the heavenly planets an attraction? Is that going to be stronger? No. So if I'm still getting attracted to the comforts of heavenly planets or even this world, that means my mind is not yet fixed on the lotus feet of Krishna. So we should be endeavoring to fix our mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. Then our destination is good, right? Best. The agitated mind goes to different planetary systems because it is attached to different kinds of demigods. But one does not go to the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by worshipping the demigods, for this is not supported by any Vedic literature, right? Man is the architect of his own fortune, right? Sometimes out of our, what do you say, uh, ego, because material ego is like this. False ego is whatever I do is the best, right? If I am from this country, my country is the best. If I speak a particular language, my language is the best. If I worship a particular demigod, this demigod is the best demigod. If I am from a particular college or university, this is the best university. It's not about that university or that demigod. Really, false ego means I am in the center. Anything which is related to me, my family, my children, my everything, right? My home, my profession, anything related to me is the best. Why? Because I am the best. This is false ego. This is false ego, right? So, but you should see things from the eyes of the scripture. What does scripture say? Does scripture say that your particular whatever is the best? No, Krishna is the best, right? So Shastra gives in an impartial way, right? Shastra explains things in an impartial way. So naturally, you'll get a destination according to your, you know, your mind, right? Whatever impressions you have on your mind. So therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says you should beat your mind with a broom in the morning as soon as you get up, and beat it again with a boot in the night before you go to bed, because the mind is conditioned for so many lifetimes, right? It is conditioned. That means it's completely pampered by our false ego, thinking that you are the great and you are the best. And now you have to beat that mind and bring it back, make it to surrender and to the lotus feet of Krishna. Accept, even if the mind says, no, no, I don't want to do it. You make it do. You make it, even if your mind does not agree. Now, how do you know whether your mind is right, or should we always keep beating the mind? Well, you have to compare with Shastra. That is why hearing Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam is so important. Then you know what is the right way of thinking. And if my mind is thinking in a way which is against what is said in the Shastra, then you beat the mind and make your mind submit to what is said in the Shastra. Why? Because that your mind is the key player here, right? If the mind has impressions of Krishna consciousness, your future is bright. If your mind has material impressions, your future is bleak. So therefore the mind has to be trained properly. So for you to train the mind properly, first you have to know what is right and what is wrong, what is to be done, what is not to be done. So therefore we must hear from Shastra, Guru, Sadhu, and accordingly train the mind. And here Srila Madhvacharya is saying that or Srila Prabhupada is saying how to fix the mind, right? Man is the architect of his own fortune. In this human form, human life, one has the facility with which to understand one's real situation. And one can decide whether to wander around the universe forever or return home. You have that free will, right? You can either choose Krishna or you can choose Maya. Krishna does not interfere. Yathechasi tatha kuru. Krishna doesn't interfere. Similarly, like Krishna, his devotees, his representatives, they also never interfere. They never interfere. They don't force Krishna consciousness upon anyone. They facilitate it. And how do they facilitate it? By being the best examples themselves. So if we are personally endeavoring to practice Krishna consciousness sincerely, that is the best preaching we can do to change people's hearts. That's the best preaching we can do. If we are not practicing ourselves sincerely, if we are being artificial devotees, right, superficially, externally, we just put tilak and sardis and dhotis and kurtas and sikas and neck beads, but our activities are that of a materialistic person, how we can expect to change another person's heart, right? So therefore we have to individually, each person has to endeavor to be what is that endeavor, by the way? How do you test if you're being proper? What are the impressions on the mind? Nobody outside needs to know. You just check what are the impressions on your mind. What type of dreams are you getting? That will tell you. Okay, just 1 second. I'll just finish this last line, and then we can take. So, man is the architect of his own fortune. In this human life, one has the facility with which to understand one's real situation, and one can decide whether to wander around the universe forever or return home back to Godhead. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Aprapyamam nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani. Prapya means to attain. Aprapya means not getting, not attaining. One who does not get Krishna, one who does not get the Lord, Bhagavan, aprapya mam nivartante mrityu sam. So if you don't get, then where will you be? You'll be in this material universe only. Aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani. Yes, Mataji, Suvarnangi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandas Pranam, Sarveshwar Srila Prabhupada.
Anvat Pranam Mataji. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Mataji, recently when I was hearing His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj lecture, he had mentioned like how can we check, first of all, we are in Krishna consciousness, and how can we check whether we are progressing, like what we have in our mind and in our heart. Really, do we have Krishna? The way we can check is the one beautiful quality is you should not be envious of anybody. We can judge ourselves, self-checking. So when you see a devotee, you should only remember their glories, not what they did, like the things which are not, not good things, maybe. As soon as we see them, we should not have all that impression coming out, but we should only see their good qualities. So that time we know that we are really in Krishna consciousness. Until then, we are not in we are trying to practice Krishna consciousness. So that struck me a lot. Yeah. We had been to Sadhusanga Mataji. So
Very
we
nice.
have that association with all.
So nice.
devotees.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So these are the jewels, because these statements, they are realizations coming by practice of Krishna consciousness. That's why sadhu sangha is so important, association of sadhus, because whatever they have practiced all these decades, that's coming. It's like, uh, galitam phalam, nigama kalpataror galitam phalam, the ripened fruit, right? You sow a seed and then you plant, protect it from weeds, you water it, it grows and it becomes big, and leaves are coming, then flowers, and finally small fruits, they grow, finally get the ripened fruit. Like that, devotees, they practice Krishna consciousness, they get the seed of bhakti, and for years and years and years and years, they're practicing so many realizations, right? So this is the realizations that they have after practicing Krishna consciousness for so many decades, and we don't know, lifetimes. And then the ripened fruit that they give is the realizations that they get, like this one. How do you know that you are actually Krishna conscious? It cannot be done artificially, right? That we can try, I mean, because when you desire, that is also good. You don't have it, but you desire to be like that. When I see a devotee, I want to see, I want to remember only the nice things about that devotee. One who is a devotee, even if someone has all bad qualities, he'll find some good thing. For example, he will say, oh, he's wearing a tilak. Regardless of whatever else he does or says, oh, he wears a tilak. Or, something like that. So even practicing, that's also wonderful. We are not there that automatically it's not coming, but even practicing to see the good, wonderful qualities of not just devotees, certainly of devotees, but of any person. Because generally, you will see devotees, they are not like this even with karmis or demons also. They don't look at the bad. When they point out the bad, it is only for the sake of preaching and protecting devotees, not because they are personally, trying to blaspheme someone, see this person is bad, or making fun, like that. Never, never. So thank you for sharing that. I heard in another, Jananivas Prabhu was also there, right, in the Sadhu Sangha. So once Jananivas Prabhu said, quoting Srila Prabhupada, that when you go, because, Ganga, right, we go to Ganga and we take bath in Mayapur. So Jananivas Prabhu said that what happens when you go underwater? You're actually gasping for breath, right? You're breathless. So when you are underwater, and if you're actually becoming breathless, sometimes even in shower you have that experience, right? You like you're going out of breath. And if that does not disturb you, if you're going out of breath, and if you're not, becoming agitated, you're not becoming, anxious, that means you are Krishna conscious. Overcoming fear of death, right? Just so that was one that His Grace Jananivas Prabhu had said several years ago. But this is very powerful, right? Something, because you may not always have that, or you may not, willingly try to go underwater and see. That's not required at all, and not at all advised. Please don't try it, children. Don't try it. But yeah, this is very nice. If you see that when you are seeing anyone, and if you're looking at, the negative things in them, or if that's what is coming up in your consciousness, right? When you see someone, what to speak of when you see a devotee, immediately you think of all the negative things that this person does or did in the past, and you identify that person with those bad things. It may be true, but the fact that it is coming in your mind tells you about your consciousness, how far away you are from Krishna consciousness. And even if the other person is full of all bad qualities, if in your mind you are able to see some good about that person and you're able to feel happy, right? Appreciate some good in that person. And if that is all that is coming to your mind, the other things are all blurred, right? Background, sometimes we blur the background. So all the other bad qualities become blurred. What you see, the highlight is some wonderful quality. If that is all is coming to your mind, that shows your advanced Krishna conscious situation. That is so powerful. Thank you for sharing that, Mataji. So it's time already. We are supposed to read Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, but it's late. I'm going to end here. Uh, Slowly, we are trying to get back into schedule again. But one thing that I have thought will be more uh, beneficial for these classes is let's just read until 8 o'clock without questions and answers, and then after 8 we can take questions and answers, because that is what they do in general, so that we cover a certain portion. And then you can even, if you're able, just make a small note so you'll remember what your question was. And then after 8 o'clock we can discuss. That way everyone else is not held back. You have to go to work, school, and other things. So those who are not able to stay, they can still go. And those who want to get their questions answered, they can stay back. Or others who are able to stay, they can also stay. So we'll do like that from now onwards. Okay. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna. All of you have a wonderful day in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.